Hi, everybody. This is Editor Diego coming at you guys with a quick disclaimer, okay? In this episode, I want to give you guys a trigger warning, okay? In this episode, me and my friend Madel discuss about killing yourself, suicide, and offing yourself. We use different terms to kind of dance around it, but I want to let you know if that's not something you want to hear about, then now's your time to walk away. Also, in this recording session, I tried to do it in my room off of one microphone, and so there's going to be a lot of background noise that kind of happens. I tried my best to get rid of the worst of it, but you'll have to forgive me for the weird audio level changes and things like that. But it is still intelligible. You can still understand it, and I hope you guys enjoy the conversation between me and Madel. And without further ado, here's the episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Formal Inquiry Podcast. I'm your host, Diego, and today we're going to be talking about the swelling Linkin Park drama that everyone's been hearing on Twitter and Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. And so today I have a guest with me.
Hey, everybody. Name's Madel. I don't even listen to Linkin Park. I saw the concert with the girl.
Yeah.
But, like, even then, not the whole concert. And it seemed like choice parts of the performance. So, I couldn't really say I have a grasp on what's really different about the band besides a different singer. But I am here to voice opinions, to giggle, and to hang out with my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what this is mostly about, really.
Okay.
So, I guess just in general, as far as like musical background goes, I'm not gonna say like do you like play music or whatever, but you know, like what are some like your general go-to music? What's something you like to get into?
I just got over this like big 80s phase.
Okay.
I was listening to a lot of hair rock, a lot of classic. Like, we call it garage rock now, but like garage rock before everybody had a garage, like a lot of that kind of stuff. Currently, I'm kind of touching on international music, not Bad Bunny or anything like that. Just,
okay, that's good.
Like, I have met people that weren't from America, so like they'll tell me about their music taste, and then I'll try and listen to whatever they're listening to. Nobody comes to mind because I'm nervous.
It's just music taste.
But as far as like what I'm seeking out right now, not a lot. I did hear about the Linkin Park stuff through social media, but I haven't been like listening to their work for like I feel like half a decade at least. I had a week where I like listened to a bunch of Linkin Park after Chester had passed, but that was like a while ago at this point.
Yeah.
And from what I remember, the way it was, I heard about it, and then I went to search for it, and then the first video I saw was Mike Shinoda talking about it.
Yeah.
And he told me, we're going to retire the band, which I think is such a graceful, respectful thing to do.
Right.
And something I didn't know I wanted him to do until this stuff. What's the singer's name?
Emily Armstrong. She's kind of cool. I mean,
she seems cool.
Yeah.
But I get these feelings of like, wow, what was the point of that video? Is Mike Shinoda that white knight that I grew up looking at? Because this is such a not Linkin Park move to me.
Right.
It made so much sense to me that we're gonna retire. That seems like something they were gonna do already.
Yeah.
And they always seemed very fan forward, very not money minded per se.
Yeah, for the people.
They've always been successful. And I know there was a time where like there was like old Linkin Park versus new Linkin Park.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think they've already gotten hate for like being sellouts, but I never really thought they were sellouts. They're just their music was fine. I've never felt them being a sellout until basically this.
That's interesting.
Yeah, well, because I don't know. I feel like there's a reverence to that band at this point.
Well, definitely.
There's definitely a reverence for that singer.
Yeah.
I'll go on YouTube videos and I'll still see fans from outside of the genre talk about his singing specifically.
Yeah.
And how underrated he was, how appreciated he was. And to go from having that type of singer as part of your band's history to replacing that singer, I don't know. It just feels like something I don't think they would have done like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And why are they doing it now? But sorry, to round back on your original question, A$AP Rocky's coming out with something new. I'm kind of excited. I listened to the single Taylor Swift, No T. The Kendrick and Drake stuff took a lot out of me in terms of like listening to rap. I'm just kind of like fatigued off of like just hanging on to every word. I'm just tired. Sometimes I just need a good hook. By the way, I just figured out that P Diddy line that Eminem says.
Dude,
I didn't get that the first time.
Nobody got that the first time.
Right. But listening to it now that I know,
Dude,
it's like
so crazy. It's so obvious.
It's so obvious. Yeah.
He's so good at being like blatantly obvious, and no one we just glaze over it. We don't even realize what he's doing. But he's dude's smart, man. Can I say dude is smart?
Weird tangent, by the way. I saw a conversation on the internet about nobody out-raps Eminem except for Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne's the only person who could, on the same song, be as good or better than Eminem, and I disagree.
Do you think there's somebody who could be better, or do you think
Lil
Wayne
isn't
actually
Eminem.
Good?
No, I think Lil Wayne's. I think he's right. I think he definitely tries hard when Eminem's on the track. Yeah. But I think I found 2 songs: "Drop the World" and "No Love." And that No Love Eminem verse might be my favorite Eminem verse of all time.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, dude.
It's a really good one. Dude, I don't know, man. I think every single song that Eminem features on or appears on, he's always like the shining star.
Sure.
In every single song.
Well, I re-listened to that song Forever where it had everybody.
Yeah.
And he's actually my least favorite verse.
Well, that's interesting.
And I remember and when it came out when we were younger, everyone talked about that verse like that. I saw spoofs of him in the jacket.
Right.
Re-listening to it now, I don't think it aged very well. I think Lil Wayne's verse in that song is actually.
Well, yeah, a lot of things Eminem said didn't age very well. So.
Like not just what he says, but like his cadence, the flows, the verse in general was just
right. Yeah.
I remember it being like, oh my god, that's the home run of this whole star-studded track.
Yeah.
But now it just feels.
He's definitely very. I don't know. He's an acquired taste for a lot of people. Sure. Even within hip hop, there's a lot of people like, no, he just sounds funky and weird to me, And so like I get it, but at the same time, I don't think there's few people that I think can like top the creativity level of what he chooses to rhyme together and how he like word crafts and forges pronunciations to make it work. Even if it's silly and goofy, he still finds a way to make it fun.
I think one talent he has is he's funny without trying to be. Yeah. And I hate listening to raps where they're giving you jokes like set up punchline. I think Childish Gambino does it a lot. Like
too much.
Especially his early stuff, it's a lot of setup and then punchline.
Yeah.
But Eminem is like genuinely funny. I think it just leaks out. Like in that No Love verse, he uses his own name. He says, "You could still get roasted because Marsh is not mellow." And I thought that's genuinely just really funny. Just funny. And I don't think he's trying to make a joke. It's just a funny way of using his name. And I think he knows that, but he didn't execute it in a setup punchline kind of way. Yeah. I love small things like that. But all in all, there's nothing that I've been listening to or musically, like in my experience, that would really give me any accreditation to this conversation.
I disagree, but it's
but
I wouldn't have asked you if I didn't
for some reason I think a lot of at least fans our age, I think a lot of the feelings I have are shared. I think for some reason, even though a lot of us haven't been listening to Linkin Park consistently, even when Chester was alive, for some reason this is stirring something in us that we never really cared to take note of before, but now it's like we're having this podcast about it. So like, maybe there's something there. Even if I haven't been listening to Linkin Park or bands like Linkin Park or really bands who have been going through the same things, I still feel, and this might be the American me, I still feel like I have an opinion and I should voice it.
Yeah, because you gotta exercise the freedom. You have to. You have the freedom, so you gotta gloat about it.
What about yourself? Do you've been listening to live music?
I try my best to keep it fresh as much as I can.
Fresh as in new music?
Yeah, new as much as I can. So recently, there's a Christian rapper, Hovey just released an album recently, so I went to listen to that. Hovey, yeah.
Hovey.
Yeah. He's well known for Christian alternative stuff, but that album's kind of been on my mind a lot. He's got a couple good tracks. Most of them are kind of one of those like throwaways in my opinion. Okay, but it's interesting. He did like I haven't seen this in a long time, where he actually made like discs for the album. And
just as in vinyls or like CDs?
Yeah. And so he set it up so that there's 3 parts to the album, and each part kind of tells its own story, which is super interesting. Which I haven't seen in a long time. Usually like one album tells its own story altogether, but he has 3 different ones that kind of like.
But they're all the same project.
Yeah, they're all the same project because they kind of like compound on each other. So it's artistic and cool. I just think those songs are kind of lackluster.
Well, I think you might be oversaturating yourself. Like to fill up 3 different discs, that's a lot of music.
It's a lot. I think there's like 15 or plus
per disc.
No, 15 like for the full album.
Okay, that's not horrible.
But I think there might be more. I think there's like 4 or so per disc. So that might be. But it's still kind of, to me it feels like it's doing a little bit too much. But I mean, outside of that, I've been trying to listen to I'm trying to think, what's like a latest discovery? I don't even remember. And I don't want to be the guy that like goes to like look at my Spotify playlist.
If you want.
I don't want. I just don't want to do that. I've been trying to listen to a lot more like new age metalcore stuff recently.
Newish metal or new metal?
New metal.
Okay.
And so I haven't fallen into Sleep Token yet.
I think I only know of, I think it's Baby Girl, something girl.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But like everybody who knows anything about metalcore is like, oh my god, Sleep Token, and I just haven't cared enough to give them a shot yet.
Because of like new music fatigue, or you just
a little fatigue, and I'm also a little I'm very particular about my metalcore.
Sure.
Very, very particular, because I don't like it when it's too hardcore, and I don't like it when it's too whiny. And so I need like a happy medium where there's like good breakdowns, but and then lyrics that aren't just copy paste.
Okay.
So I'm trying to find something that's good, trying to look through the trash and the dumpsters of it all. So I've listened to a little bit of like Bad Omens, which I think they're pretty good. I like the way that they sound. And their lyrics aren't garbage either, so that's always nice. There was another one that was who were they? Ashes to New. They're a little more whinier for my tastes, but they're
define whiny in music.
Trying to find like a common ground area. It's like a whiny artist. I guess like I
well, it's hard to say because singing about heartbreak, you can argue is whining.
Yeah, I think naturally for a lot of rock and metal music, it's going to turn out a little bit whiny because just the nature of the music they're writing is going to kind of end up that way. But the best way I can say is like like the pop punk people, right? So like I'm Sleeping with Sirens.
I do.
You know how whiny they sound.
I mean, to me, I thought that was part of it. I thought that was part of the draw.
No, absolutely. For them, for like the pop punk thing, the whininess definitely is the draw.
Because I think in real life, if you were to talk to me about complaining about your parents being too strict, like
it's whiny.
I would, yeah. But it's like whiny. If you do it in the song, it wouldn't come off as whining to me.
Right.
So like it's hard for me to tell what would be too whiny as far as like music.
So that's what I'm saying is that I think that there's a time and place for it, but I think if all of your music is saturated with the same kind of tone, it gets kind of boring after a while. And in general, I think there's a place for it, of course, for certain things, but there's certain things you're supposed to whine about, certain things you're not supposed to whine about, And so I think for certain songs it makes sense, but if it's all of them, can we have a little bit more dynamics?
It's there's definitely an infinite amount of ways to do it properly.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite examples is who Afro Man is?
Yeah.
I was about to go clean my room. He's literally whining about being a pothead.
Yeah.
But doing it in a way that he's not ashamed of it or embarrassed.
And comedically almost.
Yeah. And that's, to me, technically, I guess that would be under the umbrella of like whining.
Okay.
But like that's a completely different genre. It's a completely different.
So I guess it's not so much the attitude of whining. It's more just the tone.
Okay.
I'm more concerned about the tone because
like
I get like
actual singing.
Yeah, the actual singing tone is what kind of gets
like,
me.
Is it sounding?
Yeah, if it's like that all the time, then I'm like, dude, come on, can we like switch it up a little bit? You know, so that's kind of what I find difficult.
Where does Linkin Park fall in that spectrum for you?
I think Linkin Park, even though I think it's melodic enough to the point where it's not just like shouting a lot of times, because I think specifically with a lot of like post-hardcore pop punk bands, a lot of it isn't melodic. It is just kind of shouting, you know.
Okay. I think after 2020, what I've heard mostly is like whiny lyrics, sure, I guess, but what I always hear as far as like trends is there's always some sick breakdown section.
Yeah.
You know, like it's all about the breakdown now.
It
feels like everything is like leading you towards or preparing you for or helping you savor
building up for
said,
it. Yeah.
You know, breakdown. It makes sense because I think TikTok really makes you as a songwriter like think about what 30 seconds of my
what's
song
clippable.
is gonna gonna be trendy. So I think breakdown it fits that margin like well.
Definitely. But yeah, I think as far as like comparing it to like the Linkin Park and their tone and their sound is that I think they have areas where it's just melodic, which I think is really great, where you can, you know, where you know Chester was so good at being able to reserve himself, you know, from belting and just being able to melodically just sing it, right?
And then switch it.
And then switch to just, you know, that you know like gravelly,
but technically
high-pitched.
Outstanding too.
Yeah,
his breath control.
Definitely.
My God.
Definitely. Like and I think that's what I'm talking about is that it has to be tasteful. You know, like you can't just be whiny for whiny's sake. You know, that you need to use those times of outcry, of anger, of you know, being just genuinely upset at something, you know, or whining about something, but use it tastefully. You can't just have your whole song sound whiny for the sake of it.
Have you heard of Dury?
That one I have not.
They're a pretty new-ish band. They have a song where the lyrical content, he's like, he has a song where he's, you know, quote unquote whining about being fat and being like too tall, too big, but the way he executes the whining of it, you know, he says he tries to flip it to positive, so he'll sing something like, I'll reach that top shelf milk because I know you could barely see it, something like that. And he says like, you know, I'm always in the back of the crowd because nobody can see past me, you know, which it's complaining, but then he'll say that milk line right after to kind of flip it. So I think there's a lot of different ways to get that whining stuff done properly, and I think the way Chester and them did it, I think you're right. I think they lean more so towards the melodies, almost to the point where you're not hearing what he's saying. Yeah. Now that I'm older and I go back and I read the lyrics as I listen to it, really like heavy stuff. Sometimes really too heavy. Yeah. Sometimes cringe heavy, sometimes whiny heavy, but like almost always really heavy. Like,
but that's what I'm saying is that what was so good about it is that it was dynamic, right? Is that
because I'm listening to the chord progression, I'm listening to the melody. I'm not really, you know.
And that's what I'm saying is that it was always kind of dynamic, where not only were they really good at switching from melody to whiny to gravelly to angry to upset to, you know, just over it completely, right? Then, you know, when Mike Shinoda wanted to come in and start rapping lyrics, you know, it completely changed everything, right? And so I think like the reason why I appreciated them so much was because most of the songs were just different. You know, like they all conveyed a similar message, you know, of like an outcry of a generation that wasn't understood, but they all sounded different, you know. And so that's what I appreciated about it so much, is that just from a tone standpoint, from a melodic standpoint, you know, it was always different.
Do you have a favorite Linkin Park song or album?
It's so hard.
You know,
it's so
Minutes
hard.
to Midnight was one of the only like music albums I had as a kid, just because we didn't really buy stuff like that. Yeah. And it's still my favorite one. And it took me until like a month ago to realize I think that album's about nuclear warfare and fallout. Like I didn't, because you know, and you're a kid, you're like, I'm just listening to the vibe, like, oh, this is sad, this is lonesome, this is gray, this is rainy, and then throughout the album, have you heard the whole thing? Yes. So they insert clips from the Oppenheimer interviews. Yeah. And I always know those interviews from that album. Every time it comes up in pop culture, I always think about that album. Yeah. And I think The Catalyst came on in the car when I was driving home from work. And it's the part where Oppenheimer speaks. And then I listen to the rest of the album. I'm like, yeah, no. This is, it's about war.
It's about war. Yeah.
This is, and it, which goes to show, like, when, at least for me, when I intake their music, when I intake their art, if you will, it's not always hitting me, the whiningness or what they're talking about, or really anything except for just how it makes me feel the vibe of it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to come up with a whiny vibe. So, like, for me, it'd be hard to pinpoint, oh, this is too whiny, this is not whiny enough.
Right.
Because it's whininess in terms of your singing style or execution. It doesn't incorporate itself enough into the vibe when I listen to something that it becomes something I could focus on until 6 years later and I have to watch a Oscar-winning movie. But I think that whole album never felt like whining, but I listened to the message, I think. When you feel you're alone, caught up in the... That's such a beautiful song, especially after his death. I just... I cannot bring myself to say that that's a whining song just because it's so powerful to me.
Yeah,
but I think by definition it kind of is.
Yeah, the thing is that I know there are definitely schools of thought that say that you know the whiny music is just whiny equals bad, right? People think that a lot
until you empathize with it. Then it's like,
exactly,
this is my gospel.
Yeah. You know? But I think that's why I don't like to use the term whiny. It's just the only way I can describe it. Okay. You know, because I know it has a negative connotation of like
there's got to be a word for that.
I'm sure there has to be. You know, but I think it's just the best way to describe it. I mean, we're dealing with you know a message that it is whining. You know, I think that whole kind of push forward in rock movement was just about, you know, about loathing the situation, you know, but
exaggerating.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't think it was even exaggerating it. I think it was just what was on that generation's heart, and it was being displayed. You know, as like before, it was always like a more like monotone, more not as, you know,
Jeff Buckley, like,
it was
literally dying.
Yeah, I'm literally dying. I'm just here doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm gonna keep doing it. Not like a shout, like, this is awful, and I feel this way, and I want to do this instead of doing this. Okay. You know, and that kind of spurred on what was, you know, going to become of the next generation of music, and how now in that scene, it's just completely. It's not just like an outcry of like, oh man, this sucks, you know, like the world is falling apart, you know, people don't care, you know, this kind of stuff and that kind of stuff. And even back then, there was a big movement of like, you know, like just like screw the government, you know, and like all that kind of stuff. And now I feel like it's not like an outcry of like, this sucks. It's just like, man, when is it gonna be over? You know, like, I'm tired of fighting, you know. And I feel like that's kind of where a majority of the music is at this point, where it's either I'm just tired of fighting, or like you guys are just coming up with new ways to make it worse. You know, I've listened to several songs just about complaining about cancel culture, you know. And so it's like, it's either like I'm completely tired, I'm done, I'm over it, you know. Do you know of Falling in Reverse?
I don't think so.
Okay, well,
Falling in Reverse of Getting Up. It's a band name.
It's a band name. No, but you know, Escape the Fate.
Dude, no.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. Anyways, basically,
it matters.
But you know of Papa Roach and the I can't remember the song title.
But like literally just that one song.
Yeah, just the one song. Yeah. But that's the one song you need to know. That's the one song you need to know.
Thank you, because I agree. I do have a friend that is a Papa Roach fan, and he doesn't make it out to seem like they're a one-hit wonder or anything. It just
they're definitely
only happen to know that.
Yeah, they're definitely a talented group.
Okay,
but I'm blanking on the song title name right now.
Last Resort.
It's Last Resort. Okay. Jeez. But anyways, so they're a very well-known band, right?
Sure.
And they made this song about literally wanting to kill themselves, right? They want to end it, right? And so they're totally over it. And that song was a very angry, very grungy, very like, dude, like, I'm sick of this. You know, we're done.
But then I think it evolved. It aged into like this generational meme. Actually, I feel like
definitely.
Like if you know this song, or if you were alive at that point, at this age, you would know that song.
Yeah, or if you played, you played, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Yeah, or you watch those anime music videos.
Yeah,
You're a Naruto fan.
Yeah, for sure.
But nowadays, when that song comes on, almost everybody in the room is like enjoying it.
Yeah, because they think it's funny.
Yeah.
But I bring up Falling in Reverse because I think it was last year they did a cover of that song
and it wasn't the way it was originally written. They slowed it down into a ballad.
Really? Oh, to really get
to
through to you.
Really,
like,
to
this
really,
is a very heavy topic.
A very heavy topic, and it completely changed the tone of the song, where it was now, you know, this like, you know, like you know, symphonic, you know, opera metal, you know, where he was just, you know, loathing, you know, of what was happening. And so it completely changed the tone of what the message of the song was. Because like you said, it turned into a meme, right? Where you hear the song come on and everyone knows the chorus.
Suffocation.
No breathing.
Yeah, I still say that in like I still reference that part. I always say, if it ends in ION, I'm going to use that cadence to say it. Almost always.
And so it definitely didn't, the how the song has aged, it has not exactly accomplished the goal. But what I love about this rendition is, I don't think it's better, but I think it communicates the message of the song better, because it forces you to listen to the lyrics and not just the, you know, the.
It strips away the.
It strips away, you know, the really good guitar
riff
riff.
by Trapped.
Yeah, that is Headstrong.
Sorry.
It's the.
I'm tripping.
But you know, it strips away that, you know, that iconic guitar riff that everybody can, you know, realize and can name, and it just tells you the story, you know. And I think that's really powerful, that music can kind of transcend from the original artist in that way.
Oh, sure. Oh,
and
100%.
And I think you know, talking about with Linkin Park and how like legacy works, right? Is that things where, like, you know, band members are being recast, it happens all the time, right? And I think
sometimes for good reasons.
Sometimes for good reasons, sometimes for bad reasons. And an example that I kind of lean on is, dude, I wish I had that pulled up, but I don't.
Like the band, or
no, so Journey.
Journey's a great example.
Journey's a great example, right? I can't remember their names. I won't remember their names, but
we'll come to us.
Stanley something, I think.
I don't think it's Stanley.
Are you sure?
Well, for the new guy or the old guy?
Old guy.
I don't think it's Stanley.
Well, I don't know. Regardless, old leader of the band. I will look at it. I'll pause recording and look at it right now. I don't even care.
No, well, I want to challenge us as music fans. I think it'll come to us.
I don't think it will.
It will. I know for a fact you've known his name, and I've definitely known his name. I know. It's been a while since I thought about it. Let's just keep going and it'll pop up, I think.
So what I'm saying is that
Seth MacFarlane. No, it's. I feel like there's an S in there.
I think that's why I said Stanley. I'm pretty sure it's an S.
I think I'm on you with that.
Steven? Is Steven? He's a white guy.
Hey.
I don't know.
He'll come.
But you know, he you know, lead singer, kept on going on tour. They you know, after album after album, they were hitting, you know, hit single after hit single after hit single, and
and even in his time, he was already regarded as one of the world's best singers.
Yeah, a great just
one
talent.
One of the best parts of We Are the World. To
be
honest.
So he was a great talent. He was a great leader, a great frontman, very down to earth, still is, and he, you know, for all intents and purposes, changed a lot about just the pop music scene in general. You know, took pop rock to a different level, basically. Okay. And I think that no one can deny the impact the Journey has had on music as a whole, or let alone culture and society as a whole. Everyone knows their songs.
I think in terms of like their musical impact, if I had to choose what it was for me, and I know I wasn't alive.
No, me neither.
So speaking as somebody who doesn't know,
that's what I'm saying, is that it's lasted this long.
Yeah, I think the biggest impact they had is they turned basically a rock band, and they made the operatic singers stop and watch. They made all the technical singers stop and watch. You know, like he was like, yeah, we do rock music, but that does not mean I can't be one of the best singers in the world. You know?
Yeah, I know.
We'll get it.
But you know, even with you know, being a rock or you know, a rock band on a technicality, you know, where traditionally at that time, you know, rock singers weren't talented. You know, let's just be real. You know, a lot of these rock talent.
That was a good time for rock. They had him. They had Freddie Mercury. I remember his name. They had a lot of different voices. I think that really pushed what you'd expect from a rock vocalist.
Yeah, but you know, the thing is like, you know, in the 70s before that, the rock music was just, you know, like grunge. It was just guys just like either like yelling or just like
counterculture stuff.
Yeah, countercultural. And so they weren't talented vocalists, they were talented lyricists, they were good writers.
There's an argument to be made that vocal fray, and you know, even at its developmental period in the beginning, there was some skill there, something you had to work
definitely
on,
but it's not on the same level of these guys that popped out of the 80s where we're pushing the letter of being able to do vocal flares but also still be able to be amazing ballad singers at the same time. You know, being the fact that they could do both was just eye-catching, even if you didn't like rock music, you know.
I hate when people say rock is dead. It's not that.
Never will.
The soul has just,
the soul is suffering right now.
I think it's just evolved. It's been adopted into a lot of different things.
That is true.
The spirit of rock is still very much alive, I think.
Yeah.
Ever since the day that dude Lou something, not Lou Reed. Ever since that guy stuck his pencil in his guitar amp and created distortion, I think to me that's when rock was born. Let's do something else.
Trick the system.
Yeah. To this day, I think I hear distortion in literally every guitar. Yeah. Electric guitar I hear. Period.
Yeah. You don't hear it pure anymore.
Yeah. Rarely. Like I know that was it. Palafika or something. There's some P lettered band that their guitar tones are incredibly clean and beautiful, but I don't remember. Steven, I think it is Steven. Steven something.
I want to
look it up.
I want to look it up. Anyways, but yeah, they had to recast him because he didn't want to tour anymore. Right. He wanted to stay home with his family.
Which, if you listen to the songs, kind of tracks.
Yeah, it does. He's clearly a guy who's a family man who loves his wife dearly.
Do you think in that context it was okay to replace him then?
I think they didn't do it instantaneously. They definitely took some time away from music for a while, and they, I think the hardest part was trying to replace somebody who was that talented. Yeah, that was definitely the hardest part.
For some reason, these rock bands keep doing it.
Yeah, they finding a way. They find a way to get somebody that sounds like them but looks nothing like them.
AC/DC is probably the best example of that. I think he sounds a little better. I think I like the new one.
That's interesting. Yeah. But I mean, from a recasting standpoint, I think the reason why we were okay with Journey being recasted was because they left on good terms. There was a mutual agreement. No one hated each other. There was a no, I want to do this instead, and it was a noble reason. Sure. There wasn't a tragedy. There wasn't a miscommunication. There wasn't a fallout or anything like that. Drama. There was just a hey man.
We already.
I've done my time. Yeah. I've done my time.
We're already on that Rushmore.
And as much as we could keep doing this, I'd rather focus on my family instead. And I think that's noble, and that's why we're okay with that kind of a recast happening. Okay. And the fact that the band continued on with the same name, playing the same songs, and doing all that kind of stuff was that if you ever seen them play live after the recast, they never once put this new guy on a pedestal. They never once think that
shoved him down your throat.
Yeah, that never happened. And so I think there's a way to do it, but it has to be on a certain circumstantial way. Okay. There's ways to recast somebody where it sucks, right? The only example I can think of is just a really personal example. No one's gonna know. But one of my favorite bands growing up was Crown the Empire. Okay. And there's this metalcore band that I really enjoyed because they had two lead vocalists, where one was a melody singer and the other was a scream vocalist. Sure. Right. And I remember adoring their scream vocalist. And now I'm gonna forget his name too. And it's David Escalema. Okay. And he's such a talented musician. They picked him up after their first album debuted, and he changed the way they sounded completely. Because their lead singer could do scream vocals, but being able to have the dynamics to go back and forth between the two and having different tones and different attitudes. One being whiny and remorseful, one being angry and vengeful. Yeah. Right. And so they worked together super well. The band sounded the best it's ever sound. They released 2 albums with him, 3 actually. And then their third album, they kind of went away from metalcore and went really hard into like radio rock, to like astral, almost like super weird.
Radio rock, astral, huh?
Yeah, it was super weird.
What year was this?
That was like 2016, I think, 2015, 2016 when that album dropped.
Like that's right after Arctic Monkeys, I think.
Yeah. Really? I think that was the thing that kind of pushed. There was a lot of bands that were doing that. Were kind of going into the weird sort of like not symphonic, like astral, I guess is the best way for me to describe it. Like astronauts and space sounds and a lot more digitally inputted sounds.
I do want to say, like, at least from the hip hop world, they did take a step away from live instruments and they went more into like this And I blame SZA. Drake, just a lot of very good artists for like giving you the experience of like you're in a space now, like a space of sound, not necessarily in front of a band or in front of a performance.
Right.
You're inside some kind of musical event.
Yeah, you're in a box room.
It feels larger than just your typical song. And I think ever since SZA and all her contemporaries, I think that bled into a lot of different things. I wouldn't be surprised if rock did the same thing, which sucks because rock is so poignant as a sonically.
It's
so
live.
Poignant. You hear the bass, you hear the guitar,
and
you hear the drums.
Feel it. You can feel it even.
That's that's one of my biggest draws to it. So it does. I can't think of anything because I wasn't listening to a lot of radio or rock at the time, but I can't think of any good rock song that encapsulated the like you're in a musical sphere except for like Pink Floyd and like stadium rock stuff maybe.
Yeah.
But, that Astral you call it?
Yeah.
That I cannot even think of like a good example really.
Because there isn't one.
Oh.
But that's just my example. That's just my opinion.
Dang.
But that album dropped, and soon after that, David was he wasn't kicked out, but he left willingly because
creative differences,
right? And so he was like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore because I don't feel like I can spend my weeks creatively doing this anymore.
Fair.
And I was sad because I was like, yeah, I hate that album too. And I'm so upset that you're no longer a part of this anymore because you were like the best part. And instead of recasting him, they just continued on without him. And so singing the same songs, they had like their
the songs that had him on it.
the songs that had him on it.
Who would sing his parts?
I think they had like their bassist
Really?
do it, which was crazy to me. And now the band is at the point where they lost their lead guitarist and drummer, and so now it's just the bassist and their lead vocal that is still core band. And the stuff they released recently is again the new age metalcore stuff, so it's like super computer generated distorted stuff that doesn't feel like it has a lot of soul behind it either. So they just never been the same since that happened. But and so there wasn't a recast for it. There was just a big fallout, and a lot of their fans were really up in arms about that loss. And so very upsetting for me. And I think now he has his own project that he's working on now, where he started a new band, and he has like 2 singles out. But
even then, you don't like to see one of your favorite bands kind of like fragment.
Yeah,
it's never the same.
It's never the same.
I feel the same way about Brockhampton. Because I don't know what it is. It must be they have to bounce off each other. They have to be in a group together for me to really enjoy them to the fullest. Because like, do you know them by their names?
I don't.
So Merlin's like the super African, heavy accented one.
Okay.
He's usually the wackiest verse on the song.
Yeah.
But having him outside on his own, it's too wacky.
Yeah, he doesn't have anyone to reel it in.
He just ODB knows how to do it, but like, I don't know, when Merlin did it, I don't know if he could just play the wacky character by himself and have it be enough. Same thing with the other cats that left. But when they're together and they could bounce off each other and it's contrast and juxtapose,
Yeah.
It makes it sound better. Nobody likes to see, a band like turn into less and then less. And then less, even if the parts are still working other places, it's just not the same.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate when that kind of stuff happens, and recasting. It's very rare that a recasting actually works out well.
Yeah. What was the most recent one you think that was successful?
Like a recent recast?
Yeah. I got an easy one.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I only have a niche one
that's the niche one.
Niche one. There's this post-core band that I listen to. They're called Make Out.
Okay.
Very similar to like Journey, where the lead singer was so gung ho to start touring, and I saw them by accident. I was going to see I think I was going to see an Icon for Hire concert, and they were opening for them, and so I was like, I don't know who these guys are. So I was just there to listen. I was like, these guys are really good actually. And so I listened to them. I listened to their music. It was really good, and their lead singer was like, they got a taste for touring and they didn't want to do it anymore. They were like, it's toxic. It's not really fun for me. It's really hard work. It's not what I want to do. And so he left the band, and I remember following them on socials, and they were doing casting calls to replace him. And they found a new guy, not as attractive, unfortunately, which sucks. But he sounds very similar to the original, and so they were able to perform. They released some new music using him, and the band still sounds good. you know, I'm not mad at the recast, you know, because I get it. Not everyone is fit to tour, right? And so I'm not angry at it. I don't think it was done in a bad way because, again, he left on his own will. There was no ill will against him, but the other members wanted to keep the dream on.
Okay.
You know, so I think that's another example of a recast that works, not only because it's situationally is respectful, but also because they got someone that could actually fill the shoes.
Okay. Well, then let me give you 2 examples.
Okay.
One example is one that this is the most modern example I could think of that worked.
Okay.
And I have one basically a contemporary, so it happened around the same time, but it didn't work. And I'm thinking of Paramore, and I'm thinking of Panic at the Disco. Which Panic at the Disco is an iffy one because he didn't really recast.
Yeah.
If anything, he recasted his bandmates for producers. You know, like for like people who are really good at like making a song out of nothing.
Well, I think Panic at the Disco is different because not only did they recast the entire band except for Brandon, but they just completely rebranded themselves.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just the Brandon Urie show.
Yeah, it is now, definitely.
But I think what Paramore did is kind of the strategy was the same, but maybe Haley's just humble enough to like allow more sharing with her because I think that's also just her band.
Yeah,
and then everybody else. Like there's going back and listening to Paramore before the guitarist and the drummer left, and then listening to them after. I couldn't tell while it was happening, but now that I'm older and I could listen for the differences, I can tell the difference. Which is good because I like any band with an obvious like this is the face of your band, this is the spotlight of your band. Haley's definitely going to outshine any of the members.
100%.
It doesn't matter when, but that it still has space for these people to incorporate into their style. Like Paramore sounded different with this drummer and this guitarist, and that's not always true. Haley had all the authority to just like, this is me, we're gonna do it my way, do it like this, easily, but she never did. And even now, even though the drummer and the original drummer and the original guitar player are gone and it's other people, I still feel like it sounds like Paramore. It sounds different, evolved maybe, but that's definitely not in the way that AC/DC did it. Like it's not harder to replace a guitarist or a drummer, but I think that's a good way to replace members of your band. And not make it dramatic, not make it detrimental to your music, and still keep your core fan base and your core style together. Whereas Brendan,
I don't know what happened. Man.
I don't know what happened either.
He's successful still, which is crazy.
What I've gleaned from the internet is that he is kind of a bad person.
Yeah,
and I think he spent too much of his life energies on that part of life as opposed to the making music part of life. And I think Haley's always garnered like this relationship with the people who support her, and I think it's pretty genuine. Like I know she's super huge and like there's no way her headspace is the same as any regular person, but for what it's worth, she does a good job being a celebrity, being a famous person, being a lead singer.
And Brandon does not.
Grace. Brandon
he's a little bit egotistical.
Well, I mean, because it sucks because to his credit, he had the same authorities, same spotlight Haley did. Like they both deserve the flowers they have. Except he used it like, differently, and it didn't work. He tried to.
It did work from a sales
I
standpoint.
love what's that song?
High Hopes, man. It's
Not
still
High
a good
Hopes,
song.
It's same album, but the one with the really beautiful bridge. I forget what it's called.
You're gonna have to.
What's the other single on that album? I like High Hopes too. It's just.
I don't know.
Something about Friday night, something Friday night, something Sunday night, Saturday night. Let's do something on Saturday night. He says, he sings, he belts.
Nope, don't remember.
Pray for me. I think it's called Pray for Me.
Oh, that's actually ringing a bell.
It's not High Hope. High Hopes is like the Target one.
Yeah, that is a Target
That's
one.
the Walmart song.
Yeah, that's the one that,
But the other one.
all the teenagers know.
The other single, like, because I think they're both equally popular, but the other song is like super good.
I think it is Pray For Me.
Pray for Me.
I think that is what the title is. I thought you would know if
I thought I would
you were
know
bringing
too.
it up.
Well, I'm bad with the names, but I'm really good. Like, if I hear the melody, I feel like I could remember the rest of the song.
Okay.
That's fine. It's fine. But that other song, damn, I remember before the drive.
It's kind of strange to me, because I grew up listening, to the the crazy, gothic,
Sure.
stuff. And then, listening to my brother listen to High Hopes and be like, yeah, like his songs are like so like positive, and I'm like, do you even know what Panic at the Disco is? Like, what?
Is High Hopes really that positive?
It is very positive. It's
Well, to me, it sounds very commercial. Like, it's hard for me to put
It
commercial
is.
and positive.
It
in the
is.
same.
But
I hate that song "Happy" by Fuck. It's one of my most hated songs.
songs you just can't listen to
I
anymore.
cannot. No, not ever.
Never could.
That Gaudier song and Friday. Those are like my top 3 most hated. Like, I cannot even be in the same room.
It's tough. Royals by Lorde. That's on my list.
That's a good song,
I
man.
really dislike that song.
We're never
so
going
much.
to be royal.
I don't mind the lyrics
They
so
don't
much.
run in our blood.
I hate the way she sings. It's so annoying to me.
Well, I think she had that SZA effect where SZA made everything sound so spacious. Lorde made everyone sound so breathy.
It's so annoying. I hate it.
Yeah. Well, do you like Billie Eilish? Because I think she's a good evolved version of that.
It's not my favorite. I don't hate her like I hate Lorde. But
do you really hate Lorde?
I just,
'Cause I think she's underappreciated. I think she did a lot for that style of music.
she definitely did. I agree with you for paving the way.
Yeah.
100%. I just don't like the way she paved.
The sidewalks are not straight.
No, don't like them.
Too
I
gravelly.
don't hate Billie Eilish. I think she's a talented singer. I'm not going to doubt that at all. But I can't get past the style that she chooses. Because I've heard her sing in different styles, and yeah, she's got a good voice.
Very Billie stylish, huh?
Yeah, very. She's just too stylish for me.
Oh, I see.
Black T-shirt, Billie Eilish. You know that song?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I just can't get past the tone of it all.
Okay. Well, I think you're a generation past at this point for Billie Eilish.
I hope so.
For me, she's more like 2 or 3 generations past what age I would be if I was listening typically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's easier for me to enjoy it because in my head it's just like, oh, this is what the kids are listening to, even though I don't see them as kids and I don't see myself as an old man. Like, that's the feeling I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, this is music that's not made for me. It's not made from my generation for my generation.
Right.
So like I can step back and just listen to it.
Yeah,
At face value.
I just don't feel connected to it.
Sure.
Even myself.
No, I guess like that. Give it a couple of generations. The next
maybe
Billie Eilish you might like.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. But I think it's very interesting how we're getting to the point of, like, you were talking about, replacing stuff, and then talking about just how people's legacy has kind of pushed things forward.
Yeah, it's
right?
passing down the torch.
Yeah.
To bring it back to Linkin Park, we talked about the context of replacing people.
Yeah.
We've given a couple examples of ones we think worked out well, things that didn't. So it sounds like we both agree, like, it's okay. It's okay to do it.
You can recast. It's possible.
For me, okay, let me give you some examples, and you tell me if it's okay to recast these people.
Okay.
Right?
I'll try.
Should we, if at the time, do you think it would have worked if they recasted Kurt Cobain?
No.
Ooh, why not? That's the context.
Because of context. Because I think if he wanted to lay down the legacy, then fine, right?
Lay down like somebody else could take over. Here's the groundwork.
Yeah. So like if he decided, I don't want to do this anymore. You guys. I'm just done. Right. I want to do something else now. I want to work on this project, or I want to do this instead. Then I think at that point, as long as he's not like up and up, like, hey, you can't do that. Then like I don't see an issue with it, right? But the fact that it ended in tragedy, it would be wrong to kind of attempt to fill the shoes of somebody you couldn't get consent from.
Okay. Well, I think that's pretty similar to Linkin Park in that it did end it. Like the change is due to tragedy.
Yeah.
And they're doing it now. I don't think I've like blatantly just straight up asked you yet, but are you okay with this singer switch for Linkin Park? Because it's the same thing.
It is the same thing, and something that I've tried to wrap my head around it is like what's most important about Linkin Park as a general. Is it Chester Bennington? Is it him that makes it so important? Is it the lyrics? Is it the sound? Is it the talent? What is it that makes people so up in arms about it in general?
If I may, I think the biggest thing from Linkin Park has nothing to do with their music, but how they use their platform.
Right.
I think whenever I think of Linkin Park past like my teenage days, I'm always thinking about like they're like my version of U2. Like U2 turned into like this like world first kind of unity peace band.
Yeah.
Always trying to fight the good fight, trying to spread, if not information, like, oh, here's here's a fundraiser, or here's an organization you guys should be focused on. Linkin Park felt like that to me. Like every time I remember there's like a big volcano or some kind of earthquake in some island somewhere, and they were like the first band I saw, probably the only band I saw talking about like what to do, how to help, you know. I think that is probably the most important thing they've been doing for a while now. I don't think the music and stuff is important. As a music fan, I care about that, but Linkin Park to me, especially as somebody who has not listened to any of their shit since I heard their song on a basketball commercial. No, they did one of those deals where they wrote the song for the NBA playoffs or something like that. So this song was written and created for the NBA. Like that was literally the last time I listened to music they made, which is not. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's just it's not my taste.
Right.
You know? So
it's too establishment.
Yeah, but to me it's like they've never done anything bad with their fame or fortune. You know? They've only ever tried to reinvest it back into people.
Right.
You know? And I think if you look at it like that, it doesn't really matter who's doing it, you know, as long as that's what they're doing. I think their biggest the biggest thing for them is some positivity, like the sum total of positivity they have to the world, you know. So at that point it really wouldn't matter who's singing to me, but when we bring up the Nirvana thing, as a fan, it would not sit well with me, you know, as somebody who, and I think this is a human condition kind of thing, a psychological id versus ego, but that's my Linkin Park, you know. Don't mess with my Linkin Park.
I get that.
That's where I feel like all these inhibitions are coming from. You know, at least for me, like that's my Chester Bennington.
Right.
If in 10 years people are thinking about Linkin Park and they're not saying Chester Bennington, and I think it's gonna hurt my feelings.
There's gonna be a problem.
You know, like
that makes sense. I think the only reason why I would argue anywhere past it, because I agree with you on all those points of, you know, it's not about the person per se, it's about the attitude and the impact of it all.
Well, it's for Linkin Park, you know, it might be different for other bands.
I think that's clear. That's clear. It's just par for the course. That's just what it is. And I think that there are, I believe there are even ways to do this, to recast somebody out of tragedy and still do that correctly.
Sure.
It'd be hard, but I still think it's possible.
It's happened.
And so I think
it just wouldn't happen for Nirvana, you're saying?
No, I don't think it would. I just don't think it would.
There's no way it could. Yeah.
I think part of it is that there's so many elements you need to get perfect in order for it to be good. Because can you imagine if Nirvana wanted to recast and get rebanded in, right? And they did it all right. They were super respectful to the family. They were.
What if they brought legacy into it? Like it's Kurt Cobain's long lost kid who does it. And Dave Grohl comes back as the drummer.
Whatever it is, or you know, and they're, you know, at every single show they play, they're always like, you know, this is for him. You know, like we don't want to forget like what he did. And they're doing the same platformings that he always did. But then the singer couldn't sound the same.
Well, at that point, you'd have to just move on. Like
you can't do that.
Yeah, you have to pick a side.
And so that's what I'm saying is that, like, you have to have every element perfect in order for a recast like that to be done correctly. And so I think, I don't have any problem with the way Emily Armstrong sounds.
Sure.
I think she's a very talented vocalist in her own right. I don't think anybody can step into the shoes of Chester and be able to actually perform the same way.
Right.
So I don't fault her for not being able to scream for 17 seconds straight. You know, I don't fault her for being able to hit the high note as she starts, but only be able to after she gets into it. Like, I listen to the tracks, and so I understand that it's hard to perform. I don't blame her for that because it's difficult. And you know, the songs that they've recorded, they sound great because it's her singing, not her mimicking Chester, right? And so I don't think there's a problem with her at all. The problem that I have with it is that they're not acknowledging it. You know, they're like, clearly they know that Chester is Linkin Park. They clearly know that.
Yeah.
Right? But they refuse to acknowledge it.
By acknowledge it, you mean like verbatim just say,
yeah,
you know, this band is not the same without him.
Yeah, like they're not acknowledging it. There's no statement. There's no, you know.
There isn't?
No.
wow.
They're avoiding the press. They're not
Really?
willing to outspeak it when they play live.
I didn't know that.
It's not that they're trying to. I don't think they're trying to cover it up.
No,
they're
because it's way too relevant.
It's way too relevant for them to cover it up.
There's no
they're
way.
just avoiding it because they know whatever they do, it's not going to be good enough. And so that's what I think the problem is that because the family is up in arms, like, you guys can't do this, and they're ignoring it because the family.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's
not okay.
That's not okay. Listen to this.
That's not
okay,
cool.
So first, Chester Bennington's son, Jamie, was going on a tirade on Instagram and on Twitter because Mike Shinoda was talking about, reforming the band together, and Jamie was like, "You're doing what?" So it's almost like it's almost like Jamie didn't even know that it was happening.
Why should Jamie know? Besides,
because it's his dad's legacy.
Yeah, but like when it comes to business, I feel like I see that.
From a business standpoint. But again, the only way that this was going to get pulled off was if they did it respectfully.
Yeah.
The only way you could do it respectfully is if the family was in on it, if everyone was okay with what was happening. And I think Chester's widowed wife came out with a statement recently, and she was fine with the move, from her statements and from what I heard of.
To address the elephant in the room, do any of these families or the spouse, the widow, is anyone getting royalties? Like, is this woman going to benefit from the brand? Her
I'm sure she does. I'm sure she does, because the fact that she was married, that means that she's going to own some things from him, especially because he deceased while they were still married. So she definitely gets. I'm sure she has some kind of stake.
Some kind of financial.
Definitely, she does for sure. I'm 100%.
To me, that omits her opinion completely.
Almost completely, I guess. I try.
In the opposite way, I think that's the same for Jamie or James.
Jamie. Yeah, he goes by Jamie.
I think this is purely a business decision. I think handled poorly.
I agree that I think all the signs kind of lead to it's a business decision, that is just not handled in a respectful manner, and so. Jamie was up in arms about it, claiming that they're erasing his father's legacy, that this is not right, that they can't be doing this.
Oh, they couldn't even if they tried.
They couldn't even if they tried. There's no way they could erase his legacy. But the thing is that
we forget, we don't get enough, because we're over here like, oh, we don't really listen to Linkin Park. Oh,
I listen to them enough.
I listen. There's a big chunk of my childhood. They own that. But I don't think I've given enough credit, or at least my friends either, to how successful these fucking guys were. They were selling out stadiums. They were everywhere. In non-American speaking or non-English speaking countries,
and everyone knew their songs.
Constantly, like all the whole time. It's never been hard for them to just have a stadium full of people singing the same song. Like, and that's like, to me, that's like WrestleMania for wrestlers. Like, as a rock star, that's something that even Drake, Kanye, Kendrick have trouble doing.
And even like normies doing their sons. People who aren't even into rock music.
Exactly.
Everyone knows "Crawling." Everyone knows that song, right?
That's funny. That's the first song you came to.
That's a song that everybody knows. Well, you put that intro on, and everyone goes "Crawling."
You know what I remember? That reminded me. So they played the first concert. I think maybe the only concert they played after Chester passed. They played "In the End." And the way they play it live, at least in that time, was Mike would play it on piano, just stripped. He'd play the piano, and Chester would sing a cappella, and he let the crowd did sing the whole song, all of his verses.
I remember that.
The sun was shining down through the clouds. It made me fucking cry,
magical.
Dude.
It's magical.
Yeah, and I think Mike was crying a little bit as he was singing. Yeah, man, I didn't think about it, but like, Crawling.
That's the first song that I think of that everybody knows. Everyone knows that intro.
I think "In the End" is that's the one where
maybe
everyone think about it.
I mean, "What I've Done" is also a big one.
Yeah, but like
because of Michael Bay.
But to this day, I think in the second you hear "dum dum dum," like you're comparing that to the the sink draining and Crawling. Is that the sound? Yeah, no, I think I distracted you from your answer, but what is your favorite Linkin Park song?
Oh, dude, I don't know, man. It's
right now
hard.
It's The Messenger. Like, that song will bring me to tears. Like,
I don't know, man. I feel like such a normie.
Honestly, after I leave, The Messenger by Linkin Park.
Okay.
It's off of, I think it's the last song on Minutes to Midnight, which I now know is a song about fucking war fallout.
Right,
or,
right.
Just the the overall like bad stuff that comes with warfare. But Minutes to Midnight, maybe it's a callback to like that doomsday clock thing. Right. Dude,
Possibly.
definitely. Come on.
No, dude,
I'm just now coming. I'm just now.
There's no way
realizing that.
Mike's that smart, dude.
How do you know it was Mike?
Oh, yeah, it could have been one of the millions
I think
of people
the way I see it
getting
is
paid from this.
is Chester is he's the workhorse. He's the one to elevate this music into something that we need to stop and listen to. Mike's, I feel like, the face, the spokesperson, which I think is perfect.
Yeah.
And I think what's his name? I knew his name. Han something. The DJ.
Yeah.
I think he was the creative mind behind Linkin Park.
A lot of it.
It was his idea to add the scratches and fucking in their
So
earlier
good.
work.
So
I think
good.
nu metal was he was a big perpetrator of that.
Yeah,
I think.
100%.
And then I think the guitarist and drummer, just the bassist, they play their part just so well. They support.
Yeah, it's so
They're the backbone.
to me the right now the difficulty that I'm seeing with it is that there's no way that this is going to work out for them.
I think it would have worked if they just didn't say they didn't use the same name.
Yeah,
Because they would have been just as successful with their connections. Themselves without Chester are famous enough.
Yeah, they are.
Mike even by himself is famous enough.
Yeah, people know.
He's 10% luck, 20% skill, 18% concentrated power will. That guy.
100%.
That dude's 170%, dude.
Dude can't do math, but dude, he's.
But he's good enough on his own. They're all good enough on their own.
Yeah.
It didn't. I think the respectful way to have done it is just to, if they wanted to, because I believe them when they talk about, I want to make the world a better place. I want to keep using my platform to.
I might believe them.
To share, as far as a rich person can go.
Sure.
Because I think once you reach a certain level of tax bracket.
Right.
Your idea of helping the world and not helping the world might be a little different than your common man.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think if that's what their end goal is, which I think it really is, because mind you, I think they've made enough money to be rich for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
They don't need.
They don't need to do this anymore.
So I really do think it's either a pride thing or just like a helping the world thing. But even if it was a pride thing,
or they just like doing it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think if they just like the profession of being a musical artist and going out performing for crowds, being a part of the creative process of like making music, they could do that with or without Linkin Park.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what I think is the frustrating part is that they could do everything they're doing right now without the name.
Yeah, without all this backlash. They could have done it.
Literally. And I don't understand what was
they could have called it Linkin Park, dude. Like
I don't know.
Done.
I don't understand the thought process behind it because it just doesn't make sense to me how you could fumble it so egregiously. Yeah. They really I don't think they understood the consequences of trying to continue on the legacy.
Maybe they didn't have faith that if they rebranded it would have worked. I don't know.
That's crazy.
Because this is a soul rebranding almost.
It is. I don't get it. And what it's topsy-turvy a little bit because I want to believe that it's possible to continue legacy because it is. I want to believe it's possible. And
all we know, Mike did address this. For all we know, all of this is addressed. we are speculating here. We have not done any research.
Very minimal.
Diego here put up 3 articles. I didn't even get a chance to look at the headlines. And I swear to God, he scrolled down as he referenced to one. I don't believe I saw him read anything off the article. I saw you visibly scroll down.
I skimmed a few things.
And then you looked back over at me and just started talking again.
All right, listen, dude. I'm informed enough.
First one, Chester Bennington's mom feels betrayed by Linkin Park over quote-unquote hurtful Emily Armstrong replacement. Can I see that second one about Jamie? Chester Bennington's son, Jamie, or Jaime, calls out Linkin Park's Mike Shinoda for betraying fans and replacing late father with Emily Armstrong. See, that assumes that it's all Mike's doing. For all we know, this is like Capitol Records or whoever they're signing to.
I definitely think that it can't just be him, but he's definitely playing a role.
No, yeah, he definitely could stop it.
Yeah.
Can I see the third one? Linkin Park dominates as 9 of their biggest hits take over the same chart. Is this a modern report?
Yeah. This is a modern report.
What 9 songs are taking over the same chart?
Which 9 songs? Let's see here.
There's no. In their prime, they weren't destroying the charts like that.
It's insane. So top
it's in
10.
sync.
So jeez, man.
Oh, where
So
they're counting.
so the Emptiness Machine is number 3.
Never heard of it.
The hits Numb is number 3. Faint is number 7.
Great
One Step
songs.
Closer is 9.
That's egregious to me.
Um,
That is egregious. One Step Closer needs to be up there, dude. Come on.
What I've Done is number 16. Crawling is number 19.
That's just as crazy. Just as crazy. And you said one of their number 3s was the Empty Music Machine or something?
Bleeding Out is 24.
Hey, bleed it out, bro. Don't disrespect. That's a classic. That is a classic.
Somewhere I Belong is 28. Breaking a Habit is 31.
Ooh.
I mean, the fact that these guys are charting just because they had a resurgence.
Oh, they're charting now.
They're charting now.
Those songs.
Those are the songs that are charting
that's
right
crazy.
now. And so
that's actually crazy.
These are songs that have been available for people to listen for a long time. But because the band is resurged, these songs are now coming back into fame. And so,
do you think it would have happened if they changed their name?
No. That's what I'm saying. Is that the continuing of a legacy only happens if you keep the same name. So I'll give like a general example. A guy who builds up a legacy of success, right? He owns his own land, he owns his own business. You know, he has property value, he has sentimental value, he has all these things, right? Someday he's gonna die, right? And he has to leave that to somebody, right? A successor, a son, someone that he mentored, whatever that, right?
You're saying the legacy won't persist unless they keep certain assets.
I'm saying the legacy dies when that man is forgotten, and that happens when the name is lost. And so you see a lot of times in like businesses, where they have like plaques of like their founders, of people throughout, their presidents throughout the time, things like that, to remember them and remember their accomplishments. And people are forgotten every day. People die every day. People's names are forgotten to history every single day. We
still can't remember that.
We still can't remember his name.
Steven something.
Still can't remember his name. But like what I'm saying is like there are people in history that have lived and have impacted people's lives that we will never know their names. We will never know what they actually did, what they actually accomplished, because it was forgotten, erased, not written down, not recorded. And so what I'm saying about legacy is that it ends when we stop talking about it. It ends when people stop remembering that person or that entity. And so the only way that I can play devil's advocate here to approve of what Linkin Park is doing is that we're not going to remember Chester Bennington forever. And
speak for yourself.
Okay.
I'll remember him until I die.
But what I'm saying is that what is best for his legacy is what's best for his legacy is to let the people that remember him, and then as music progresses, he's just going to become that old fabled person that like did a lot in that time, but no one thinks about his music anymore. Nobody thinks about his message anymore. Or are we going to continue his legacy and push it further and help his name continue to go further by continuing the name of his band, continuing the name of what he believed in? And that's the only way I can play devil's advocate. Now, granted, I'm still not condoning what they're doing, because I still think they're doing it disrespectfully.
I think it could be argued that you can continue his legacy without continuing his band, and it would be fine. Just being a part of musical history itself, with all the music fans around the world that are always going to be around, because I don't think music's ever going to go. As being a part of that history I think that's enough. Like, that will carry your legacy on without a band, without more music, without new content from whatever faction or umbrella like name you were under when you were doing it. I feel the same way with like the Jackson 5. Like, I think their legacy keeps going, not necessarily because their brand kept going, but their influence and impact kept being a part of, like, in the way that water ripples. Chester in his time has inspired enough that it's still around. Like, music would have been different if he never did it, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
definitely.
Whatever, even if I can't see the differences or where the impact is, because music is so freaking vast, I'm sure it's there somewhere. And I think that, to me, is a continuation of the legacy without, maybe he doesn't get the flowers, but I think that's what makes it more beautiful to me. There are unsung heroes out there for those busts we see in front of banks and buildings where it's like, this is our founder, his legacy continues through this building. It doesn't even touch on the countless nameless people who helped along the way.
Yeah.
I think the legacy, if we're going to use the metaphor of a bank, the legacy is the idea of switching money lending and whatever you use banks for is still going. the profession of it, or the art form of it, or the craft of it is still going. And I think that enough is for me to say, oh yeah, he still has a legacy, whether or not Linkin Park was a thing, whether or not this happened, whether or not it happens and it's successful and he does get forgotten about and he becomes relevant. I think that doesn't take away his legacy to the people who know, you know.
But that's what I'm saying, is that legacy only survives for as long as people know.
Do you think it's possible for this Emily person to be so skilled and for Linkin Park to last so long that, you know, in the next 10 years we find the Fountain of Youth and Linkin Park plays for another 200 seasons, you know? Do you think even then we'll forget about Chester?
I think it's possible, because I'm sure there's people that are listening to this right now that didn't even know that Journey had to recast.
True.
You know? And so that's what I'm saying. It's only
I also didn't know until like way after I was already a fan.
So that's what I'm saying, is that it's not hard to not necessarily erase it on purpose, but just to continue on without it for so long that people don't even realize it anymore. And so that's what I'm saying, is that if we're just going to keep doing what we're doing and not pay homage to the people that came before us and to give them their piece of the cake, give them their flowers, give them the legacy that they deserve, then they're going to be forgotten, just because generationally they're going to get forgotten.
Yeah, paying homage, I think, is the big difference here, because I think, for example, I've always loved what is it, Open Arms, that Journey ballad.
Yeah.
And that was written by the original guy. And I've always loved that song. It's always mattered to me.
Yeah.
Of course, I couldn't pay homage or like be thankful for the guy who wrote it because I didn't know it was a different guy.
Right.
So whenever I said, oh, I love Journey, I love Open Arms, I love Journey because of Open Arms, I was technically incorrect, because I couldn't say I love Journey because of Open Arms, because it was a different journey. You know, it was a different person. So I guess my question to you is, the effect on my life is still the same. Like, the only difference is I can now pay homage to the person who actually did it for me.
Yeah.
But do you think the legacy is okay where it's at, even if I don't know who to give the flowers to? Like, is it enough as an artist to be like, if I do this and be forgotten, it's still worth it because the music is enough? Like, that's my lasting imprint, not my name, not my history, not my relevance, not even my face, but this song 200 years from now is going to make some kid cry, and that's enough for me. You know, you don't think that's enough for it to be called a legacy? Or
I think that's the difference between you know, common history and art. I think that's what changes, is that art has the capability to transcend generations, where you know Joe, picking up the slack at work is, not something you remember, even though it's still a good act that is worth commemorating. It's not something that lasts forever, because there isn't something to actually be continuously passed down.
And do you think Chester deserves to be that bust in the front of the building, as opposed to that nameless caveman from a million years ago?
I think there's no reason why he can't be both.
Well, you can't be both. You can't be. You can't be the guy who is remembered and also the guy who's forgotten.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that I believe you in that music transcends in that way, where an artist can make such a big impact at one point in time to then have a point where that song, their art, their product is passed on and beyond even the remembrance of them as a person, that their art lives longer than they do. And I believe that's true, and that's beautiful in its own right. But I think that if we are expediting the process of forgetting a person, then we're doing it wrong. There's no reason why we should be doing things to purposefully forget who the artist is, for the sake of the art. That's ridiculous.
You think it would be okay if it was happening naturally?
Yeah, I think of course, naturally we're going to forget the name Chester at some point in our lives, or at some point in the generational line. Some kid's going to listen to Crawling and they're going to scream it out,
Let's just name all our kids Chester.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying, is that some way down the line, some kid's gonna realize, oh, there's this band called Linkin Park. Let me look them up really quick, and it's gonna come up Emily Armstrong first, and like.
And that's what Jamie's speaking of.
That's what Jamie's speaking of, and that's what I'm saying, is that we are expediting the process of forgetting this man's name by pushing this new narrative, this new person forward.
The name of the band wouldn't help with that either, right?
It wouldn't help with that either, but at the very least, it wouldn't be damaging it. And that's my argument.
Do you think it's damaging it?
I think what they're doing now is damaging it.
Because I'm sure there's going to be like a percentage of new listeners, say people who are born literally today,
Yeah.
maybe Linkin Park still is successful in their early adulthood or whatever. I still think there's going to be a handful of these new listeners who will go back and they'll find out about Chester and they'll get that second layer of appreciation that I get from when, like, I listen to a lot of old music, like before my time kind of music.
Yeah, me too.
That I love hearing new things that I didn't know before because it gives me another layer of appreciation. Like, oh, I didn't know that's the first metal song. What? You know, things like that. First use of the kazoo in a studio. What? That's crazy. You know, I do like going back to old music and learning things I didn't know because I wasn't there. I don't know. Now, the more we talk about it, the more iffy I am about what side I'm on. I actually don't know anymore.
I'm telling you this right now that I think that there is something. I guess there's something cool about being able to go back and learn about those things. Expediting,
you said of his fading away, of Chester being irrelevant. I don't think it's as sped up as I think having Emily being a part of the band is doing. You know, I think it actually, in some ways, it might keep him more relevant. You know, I think.
Well, right now, definitely.
Like if they started a new band, different name, different singer, different art direction, even I don't know. I think that would make it faster. Like, and especially if they were successful, I think we would lose or we would forget Chester even faster that way, as opposed to keep the name, all this. You know, like, look, we've been talking about it for an hour, and I have not talked about Chester Bennington in like years. You know, and if they would have formed a band, new name, same people, new singer, I don't think I'd be talking about it. I don't think it'd be relevant to me.
That's interesting.
You know? And I assume for years, every time Linkin Park comes up, I'm going to say Chester Bennington 2 or 3 more times.
Yeah. Because
of this, you know.
Because the name Linkin Park shows up.
Yeah, it's become in their lore a conversational topic. You know?
Well, I mean, I guess for me it's different because I guess I just listen to them more just organically, where they're just in my playlist, and so every time I hear a Linkin Park song, I don't think Emily Armstrong. You know, I don't think the new Linkin Park that's coming out. You know, I think, oh man, Chester's really talented, and it sucks he's not here anymore.
He's also really dead, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and so it's so that's what I'm saying is that I don't. It just rubs me the wrong way that it still feels kind of willy-nilly that they just kind of are still just doing it regardless of.
I think it's weird that he hasn't addressed it. You know, like they their PR team used to be like, I feel like it was always really good. Like they've always, and I don't think they're saints or anything, but they've always seemed like to be out of trouble.
I mean, here's I don't know if you know this or not, but originally Mike got together the lead guitarist and the drummer to be a part of it, but after the backlash, they both left.
Oh, so right now it's not. They don't even have the drummer.
Right now, no.
Rob something.
Right now, it's just Mike. He's
not even the DJ Mike Hahn. I think it's Mike Hahn.
It's just Mike Shinoda.
This is not Linkin Park. What is this?
He's the only original band member. He's the only original. Band member.
I didn't know that.
He's the only one.
Because every headline I see is new singer. No one. Wow. No flowers given to my boys. The guy with the headphones.
They were originally like I said, the drummer and the lead guitarist were in it, and they were part of the reforming part of the writing process and all that kind of stuff. But after the backlash, they started to tour. They stepped away.
Wow. And the DJ was never a part of it.
I don't believe so. No.
I think he's like the creative side, or that's crazy. That's crazy.
And so that's what I'm saying is that nothing about this, no part of it, sounds like it's continuing the legacy, because even you know his friends and band members aren't about it.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I know what side I'm on now. Then
you know, like it
because they're there.
That's there.
To me, their opinion matters more than ours.
Yeah,
matters more than
100%.
the family. Matters more than the spouse. They are the band.
Yeah,
you know,
that's them.
Chester's just the singer. Mike's just the rapper. Like without the band, it's not a band. It's not the band. You know,
it's the band, bro. Like,
it's not the band.
It's not the band.
It's not the band. It's just Mike.
That's what I'm saying. Is that how it has all kind of transpired is that it just feels like the Mike Shinoda show.
You should have told me that in the beginning.
My bad.
God.
That's my bad. That's
my bad. I did not know that. That's crazy.
But
Mike.
It's so weird to me, and you know, and that's why I don't fault Emily, because I don't think it's her fault. You know.
Oh no! I hope she's not getting any backlash. I think
she is. She's getting a ton of hate.
Dang.
I mean, a ton of hate, because everyone's gonna. directly blame her because
Sure.
she's the replacement, right? She was like,
Right.
everyone's like, you can't fill those shoes, man. Like, what do you think you're doing? You know, this is
Chester's like a
disrespectful.
size
You know,
8 probably.
yeah, you can't fill those shoes. You
He's a
know,
small man.
and then again, you know, after, you know, hearing her perform live and, you know, the new songs they're doing and like all the criticism she's received about being able to do this or do that, and she just, you know, again, nothing against her. I think she's talented, but she's not Chester, and she's trying to imitate him, and it feels like a bad imitation.
Is she trying to imitate him? Because from what I remember, she was singing the songs her way.
She was singing the songs.
She was hitting the notes, but like in her
mostly.
style.
Mostly.
Huh.
She again, it's not a diss on her, but when you're trying to replicate somebody, it's really hard to pull off.
Yeah.
You know, and trying to replicate
even just
somebody
trying
like
to
Chester,
carry,
I mean,
just trying to carry on the torch or the band that somebody leaves is hard enough.
Yeah,
let alone try to do the same thing.
It's really hard, and you know, it's just it's like you said before, it's not my Linkin Park.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not.
And that comes from like a selfish side. Like that's coming from a perspective of I don't really care about everybody else. Just this is just my personal feelings about it. So like I try to ignore that, and I don't think it's much of a factor in really forming a valid opinion for this. But yeah, if we're just talking personal, like my diary shit, cannot look at this band like Linkin Park. No way.
Yeah, even like the cover art for their new album, all of it's just like, what are you guys looking at?
Because I always thought they were not artful in like the craft of it, but like I know they had a good taste. Like they had good taste for like what's cool looking, what's sounds nice, what's a good song, what's not. You know. Like they were good enough to be able to sell it to huge companies like the NBA, like to be able to master your craft so well that you could be both the hit factory and also like make songs like The Messenger or Crawling. People fall into one category. Like they're either really good at the formula or they're just so creative as a person that you have to stop and listen. You know.
Yeah.
But.
I just think it's a mad unfortunate scenario, and I wish
That's too bad.
And I wish that they could have approached it respectfully, because
at this point I wish they would have just never touched it ever again.
I mean, yeah,
I wish they would have
agree.
just left it in the grave. You know.
I agree. You know, leave it the way it was, where you know beautiful and perfect. You know, without a tarnish.
Yeah.
But if they were going to do this, how do you think, what would be your ideal if Mike Shinoda was like, hey, we want to bring back Linkin Park, and he got the original band members together and they found a replacement for Chester that was respectful, tasteful, can you know, hit, you know, the same kind of cadence, maybe not perfectly, but you know, the best that we can probably get. How would you want them to approach restarting?
Well, we haven't brought it up, but do you think Chester would approve?
I care that much.
Yeah, he's so like carefree about stuff. Like,
I mean, I think he cares so much more about the art and the music of it.
sure, no, he definitely cares about that. But like, as far as like the pride and like having it be his thing, and
Yeah,
like,
I don't think he
his
would care
legacy
so
and-
much.
Yeah, I don't think he'd really.
I don't
care.
think it would be his attitude of no, that's mine. You can't do that to my stuff.
No way.
You know, I don't think he would be that kind of a person. I think again, like if he would have gotten the chance to step away respectfully, and you know, wanting to pursue other things rather than music, and the rest of the band decided we want to keep going, I don't think he would have had a problem with it. I think the general consensus would have been you can't replace Chester still, but I don't think he personally would have had a problem with it.
He definitely never. He was always like he was definitely a bona fide rock star.
Yeah,
But he never like filled that rock star stereotype. I think.
no,
Like everybody else did.
he would. I think every, you know, instance we have of him, you know, in interviews and, you know, performing live on stage, I wouldn't describe like, you know, down to earth person, but definitely a very people centric.
Yeah. He's
You
not.
know?
He's not like a. Cameras are on. Time to put
Yeah.
on my face.
Yeah, no.
kind of person.
No, he was just definitely so much more concerned with the people that he was around, you know, and performing live, and, you know,
Connecting with the crowd.
connecting with the crowd, you know, doing things that not a lot of people were willing to do at the, you know, level, right? No one's going to go into the crowd at that kind of a level. you know, just for safety and security reasons.
Oh, definitely not anymore.
You know, definitely not anymore. But even back then, still people weren't doing that because it's crazy, you know. But he wanted to, and so.
And that man can sweat like no other man.
Nah, dude.
My God.
Hyperhidrosis or something.
Is that a thing?
It is. It's a condition.
Hyperhidrosis.
Hyperhidrosis. It's the overproduction of your sweat glands.
Oh, I thought he was just a bona fide sweat, man.
I mean,
he's
that's
trying.
That's 100% also true.
Dude.
Also true, but it's I don't know if he actually had that condition or not.
Yeah,
but it's a real condition.
In my head, it's just like this man is putting in work.
No, he is.
He's getting
100%
right now.
100%.
And Mike over there with his basic. I could play everything you've heard on piano. I promise you, I could play.
Oh man,
he's lost my respect as a musician. Before
yeah.
all this. Now he's lost my respect as a person, as a character.
That's hard. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is what could they have done to make it more respectful? What actions could they have taken?
I'm now on team nothing. They should have done nothing. They should.
Really, you don't think that
honestly
there's like no way they could have done it respectfully?
No, I really think the respect of it is we say rest in peace all the time. We never let people rest in peace anymore, man. Let Tupac rest. Stop bringing him out for shows. You know, if they bring out Biggie for any Coachella 3000, I don't care. I don't care if it's Coachella for Obama. You know, like, let my people rest. Like that's what it's for. You know, like it's eternal rest. Like stop making these dead guys come back to work. You know, it's paying them. You know.
Yeah.
Paying, I don't know if they're paying their families. I don't.
Doesn't happen.
It's not cool. Like I don't think I'll ever be okay with that. I'm an AI forgiver. You know, like I will defend AI. I really don't think we need to use it for that. You know, my personal opinion. Yeah. But at the same time, if you could AI Abraham Lincoln back,
I'm all for
an episode of Saturday Night Live or something, I'd watch it.
It's so funny.
I watch it. So like, I guess I'm conflicted, but you know, I'm very passionate about this music stuff. Like, when people die, just let them die. Let's remember them fondly. Let's listen to their work if you want. But let's not try and create Frankenstein's monster.
It's tough for me because I think there is a way to do it respectfully. I think there's a way to and it does. I think it always does come back to business at the end of it.
It'd be hard to do it respectfully and not turn it into a Chester Bennington tribute band. You know?
But I still think that's not a problem per se. I think that if Mike wanted to get the original band members together and then get an Emily Armstrong equivalent, or even her again, she's not the problem here, right? If they got someone to sing the vocals, then they made a point to take care of the family. They made a point to make sure that his son was taken care of it, his mom was taken care of it, his wife was taken care of.
I'm sure they already are.
I mean, we don't know. I mean, at this point, I can't imagine Jamie's being taken care of because of how angry he is at this, right? I'm sure if he was getting the check, he would be more okay with what's happening.
I think he was probably born with a check.
I mean, possibly,
so
but
wouldn't know the difference.
But still, I think if they made sure they were being taken care of, I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff. I mean, when they did their first show, Jamie Benton wasn't even invited. You know, like he had to buy his own ticket.
What the fuck? You know, disrespectful.
And that's what I'm saying. Is that like if you did it respectfully, you would take care of the family first, right? You would comp them, you know, like take care of them. You know, take them out to a nice.
I almost don't believe
to a nice dinner.
I'm
telling you, bro.
There's no way anybody in the Linkin Park camp was like, Jamie Bennington. He has to pay for his tickets. No fucking.
They didn't respond to him, man.
No.
I'm telling you, it was radio silent.
I need receipts on that. That's crazy.
That's what happened. So I
think he could just walk up to the crowd and be like, "Here's my ID." I think the crowd would like let him.
Yeah, no, the crowd would give him a ticket.
Yeah,
but it didn't happen, and so I'm saying that they first of all they needed to take care of the family, which they didn't do. Okay. So that should have been priority number one. Hey, we want to do this, and we want to make sure the family has consent. We want to talk with them. We want them to be involved in the process of bringing Linkin Park back, and we want to make sure they're taken care of. And so the money we make, the money that Linkin Park makes, needs to go to them, making sure they're okay, they're set, right? They need to be taken care of. And then if they want to be involved, we let them be involved, right? If they want to come to the shows, they want to advocate, they want to post on socials, they want 100%.
New angle that I just thought of actually. You can say that a good reason to continue the Linkin Park brand, to recontextualize the tragedy, it would be because I can't give you evidence, but I want to say a lot of their demographic come from like suicidal, very
they're broken homes, broken people, and
I think it's pretty powerful to say that, yeah, our the biggest part of us died to what we're trying to help people from doing.
Yeah.
You know? And that's such a L, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that's how it ended, I guess that'd be a bad taste in your mouth, you know. Like the band that advocated for suicidal awareness and depression awareness, they decided to call it quits when their lead singer, you know, offed himself.
Yeah.
I feel like it does make a little bit more sense of why they had to continue it, you know, like to show, if anything, that suicide's not going to stop us, and you know, suicide shouldn't stop you if you have tragedy in your family. It shouldn't stop you from moving on, moving forward. But I don't know if that's why he's doing it.
Yeah,
I say he now because I'm just blaming. I'm projecting all of this on Shinoda.
It's interesting you say that, because that's something exactly that Jamie Bennington said. He said he accused Shinoda of quietly erasing my father's life and legacy in real time during International Suicide Prevention Month.
Really?
And refusing to acknowledge the impact of hiring someone like Emily without so much clarifying a statement on the variety of victims that make up your core fan base.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad that it's been said.
It's something that Jamie said himself. And so I'm just saying they have completely disregarded the respect factor that they clearly needed to take in order to make this kind of a move. And so, like I said, first of all, taking care of the family, but then also, like you were alluding to, I think using the platform not only just to make new music, not only just to perform shows for the people that love their music, but also to use it again to who are hurting.
Yeah.
Right.
What they've always been doing.
Yeah, they're doing it now, which is crazy. And that should have been the first thing they started doing was, hey guys, it's Suicide Prevention Month. Let's take this seriously.
Yeah.
Right? You know, let's, you know, check up on your friends, make sure you know you're in the right mental state, you know, make sure you guys are taking care of yourselves, you know, things like that. You know, we take this super seriously because of, you know, what happened unfortunately to Chester, you know. And things like that, like, and then keep that pushing forward, you know, shout out charities, things like that, you know, shout out people who are hurting, people who need help, you know, that should be your top priority if you're going to do this respectfully.
And it's ironic to say, but like, it does feel like when I was listening to them, I would get clowned on. The perception I thought was, oh, I'm depressed because I listen to Linkin Park.
Yeah.
When I feel like it was the opposite. I'm depressed, so I need bands like Linkin Park.
Right.
You know, I need bands to let me know it's not just me who feels like that. You know,
Yeah.
like, and that's, you know, I wish I would have known that back then, because it would make me feel like, oh, when my friends are in the core, I'm not going to listen to Linkin Park. I don't want them to think something about me. You know?
Yeah, I don't want them to worry about me.
Right. When maybe I should have had them, like, they would have worried about me, and for good reason. And it's not because of Linkin Park or anything. They're not a factor of my depression. They just happen to be something that I could relate to, an outlet. You know, I could scream really dark, you know, almost self-abusive things under the guise of singing along to a song, and have that outlet to just like say it out loud. You know, not like blow up and stuff.
Yeah, and that was the whole purpose of it. That was the whole motive and attitude towards it. And I think that if that was the most important part about Linkin Park, I think arguably, right, was the platform that they used and the people that they connected with and the lives they impacted, the people they saved, really. I think if that's the most important part about Linkin Park, why was it that when they decided to rebrand, the most important thing they wanted to rebrand was the new singer? You know, the most important thing, they should have said, you know, yeah, we have a new singer, but what I want you guys to focus on is the legacy, the message we're sending, right? And if they did that, I wouldn't be mad right now. I'd be like, man, dude, they're doing Chester proud. You know, they're continuing on that platform that you know, the good that they were doing as a band, right? They're continuing that, and that's what's important. Trick the music, you know, that's not even the most important
You say trick
part.
the music?
I'm just saying.
Something people say.
I say trick a lot, but
trick the music.
Trick the music.
Can you? All right, now I'll let it fly. That's just a you thing, I think.
It is just a me thing.
Okay.
It's okay.
Is that like what you say instead of like the F word?
I have a lot of replacement words that I use
for the F word.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
I use freak or trick.
Sure.
I use heck a lot too.
That I remember. You're a hecking guy. Man.
I'm hecking, or I call people freaker sometimes, which is kind of funny.
Freaker.
Yeah, freaker. hard R.
Dang, man.
But yeah, I think there was definitely a way to do it respectfully. They just completely missed the mark. Completely missed the mark. And I think
at this point, I don't think they were even aiming for it.
No, they weren't. And I think that even if they were to try to backtrack and start doing that kind of platforming, it's too late.
I'm very big on like, what is your band doing? Like,
Yeah.
I could care less about the spokesperson and the PR.
Yeah.
I'm really into like the body language of the band almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me that's more than a red flag. That's just a fatal, like, it's done. You're done. If your band doesn't want to come back, then your band's not coming back.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's unfortunate because the numbers speak for themselves. They're successful.
Yeah, and just off nostalgia, of those 9 songs, 8 of them I believe were from when I was a kid. Like,
yeah.
So that's goes to show how long they've stayed relevant in people's hearts.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And those are the people that are listening to.
I disagree with the rankings though.
I'm sure you do.
I believe Breaking the Habit should be the last because I feel like that was the dark horse of their singles. Like that was in with the anime.
Yeah.
Kind of techno-y a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised One Step Closer was that low. I think to me, in the end, Numb and One Step Closer are like their big 3. My personal favorite from that era is Faint. I just love that video.
Faint's a good one.
That shit gets me going.
Dude, it's really good. Dude, there's something that I always wanted to like rediscover is that that almost like perfect meld of like the rock and hip hop.
Yeah.
It's so hard to recreate.
The way Mike did it is the easiest thing to get into with hip hop is like I think bounce, like just adding a pop to your shit,
right,
whether it's scratches or just like an 808 here or there or a snare drum kick somewhere. He was so like loose with it that I think it worked, but I don't know if you could do that now without people thinking
you're just trying to replicate Linkin Park.
You're either going to be Linkin Park or you're going to be Nujabes. Like it's one or the other.
It's just so unfortunate because I think it was such a good era. Honestly, I think it was such a good era.
Yeah, no, I still remember how frowned upon it was, though.
Yeah, I know people hated it. I know, like music, connoisseurs are like, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, no.
Let's not.
It's a bad blend.
It's a bad blend, guys. Yeah. Don't do that. But honestly, I look back on that era and I'm like, dude, why did we stop doing that?
I think it came back around like when I had met you. You had shown me some music that showed me that that era came back around, and people who weren't there for the original run of it, they came and they had their own spin on it. So it did tell me like it was coming back, but then I never saw anything coming out of it.
It's not mainstream,
right? Well, it could have been. I think right now, I don't listen to enough modern music to know what's like trendy because I'm one of those. I've crossed the border. I'm now one of those like everything sounds the same. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't genuinely agree with it word for word. I don't think everything sounds the same, but I can see what they meant when they said that. When people say that,
there's a lot of similarities and things
just a lot of like
together.
Things coming out of favor, coming back, and just a lot of
It's like I've heard this one before.
Yeah,
almost.
But it's not that music is forever going to be unoriginal. I think there's just so many ways you can do it, and for me nowadays, what I look for is not necessarily originality in your song, but originality in your execution.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know. I personally, I don't think I need another new metal wave. I think I'm good with the 2 we had, but specifically that first one. I could go the rest of my life not having to hear the next generation's Fred Durst. You're ready for the next Fred Durst?
I don't mind renovating. Because I think we're not renovating metal right now by any means, but I think I wouldn't say we're overdue per se, but I don't have a problem with us trying to put another thing in the blending box. You think? I don't think
if we had to recreate. Did you listen to that Collision Course album with Jay-Z and Linkin Park? I bought it.
That's crazy.
I watched the fucking.
It's pretty cool.
The movie there.
Yeah.
With it too. I watched that whole concert. If I had to pick, there are like 2 concerts in the history of music I wish I could have been alive for, and that is one of them is that Collision Course with Jay-Z coming out and Chester screaming. And Jay-Z going like, "What?" And I'm like, "That's crazy, y'all crazy." That's once in a lifetime concert. That and Daft Punk's original Alive tour in like 07. I wish I could have been there for that. To hear Harder, Better, Faster. That's the album where they mixed all their singles together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And to this day, there are people I know that know those songs only from those mixes. They didn't know that they were
they don't know the originals.
Songs. But that concert, oh my god, I would have gone crazy, dude.
I think
we don't need another Red Dead special.
I'm not totally against it, and I think the stuff that I was showing you, that is I think it's just gonna stay underground because it's just
it's very niche.
It's very niche because it's this like, when the emo rap thing kind of started to become a thing,
that came and went super fast.
It did because they all died.
Ooh.
I mean,
well, I was thinking about that fucking "Don't Stay Away for Too Long." I was thinking, I was thinking that guy.
He's hecka niche. He's that one song everyone knows.
Yeah, but that song was like everyone knows that
it
song.
is. But I mean, XXX Tentacion.
Okay, I see
Juice WRLD.
I see what you're saying. But I wouldn't put them under the umbrella of like a new wave of new metal. I think you're right, and it's blending similar genres. But I think they did it in such a way that it's really they've created their own subgenre.
Yeah, 100%. But what I'm saying is that it is still birthed from a blending of that kind of metal and hip hop.
When you put it like that, then I would love to hear what comes next after that, because that to me that era of mumble rap, as somebody who's from the generation who I feel like used mumble rap as a derogatory term, I don't think that era can be beat in the hip hop history.
No, it's definitely super influential, and it has pushed a lot of stuff. But that's what I'm saying is that like I think that we only view a new metal wave as it being titled as metal, and I think that we neglect the fact that it has influenced more than just its own scene even.
Sure.
And so I think even like right now you still have groups that are not even blending music together. They're just doing both.
Yeah, I know groups that take the metal mindset and just make rap music, but since they take inspiration from metal, it forms their craft in such a way that it's not just hip hop. Like you've heard JPEG Mafia, you've heard Death Grips. Those are, in that sense, then okay, I'm down. You've changed my mind
because we're getting cool stuff from it.
Thank you, Fred Durst. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you for. I appreciate for his domino effect on the rest of music.
Yeah, I think there are good things that come out of evolution of different music genres. I just don't see how Linkin Park rebranding is going to help that.
No. I think you need to be young and brash.
That's what I'm saying, and I think even like when you were talking about new people listening to their music, their new music now, it's just going to be so different. That people who are going to be young and influential and potentially new Linkin Park fans, they're not going to be Linkin Park fans because of the music that they have bolstered up to make them who they are. They're going to be Linkin Park fans because of a totally new sound, a totally new wave completely. And so I think that if we're talking about metal becoming a new wave and the new rebranding of Linkin Park is going to be part of that, I don't see how they're going to be. First of all, I don't think
is that what they're trying to do.
I don't think they're searching for
last I checked,
a new thing.
Sonically, what they've been trying to do is incorporate more electronic music.
Yeah,
electronic music, pop music.
Everyone's been doing that though.
Yeah,
pretty much all across metalcore. That's pretty much what they've been doing.
Really?
Is
acoustic in there.
That's what I'm
for the one time.
For the one time, please. But that has been happening across the board, where there's not just like more distortion, but just they cut up their vocals for certain parts of the song.
To their credit, I've watched enough videos to know that like there is almost there. I'm not gonna say almost. There's definitely, I just don't get it. There's definitely an art form to the computer that I feel like I sense from people talking about it.
Yeah, I think sound engineers don't get enough credit.
Yeah, they're
for
getting
what
it
they
now.
do.
I think like I'm seeing a lot of videos like people teach people about sound waves and how it affects the listening experience. Not necessarily in the way audiophiles talk about it.
Yeah,
but I do see like there's definitely a wave or a generation of people who really respect and understand like that stuff, that computer stuff that I always like scoffed at and like turned away from.
Yeah.
There's a skill set to that, and there's definitely some hidden gems that I don't know about because I don't follow it.
Yeah.
That have been. There's a lot of metal fans who are really good with their ear, really good with production, sound engineering. But I just maybe I'm just too old fashioned.
I mean, I remember the times when when EDM dubstep was a big thing.
Yeah.
And
oh man, I was so into that.
I refused to get into it.
Really?
Because I was the guy that was like, DJs aren't artists. They don't deserve the same they don't deserve the same kind of, homage that these guys who are shredding guitars and beating on drums.
I'm still there.
deserve.
I still don't think it's as cool to be behind a turntable unless you're really cutting up wax.
Yeah.
At some point, I've heard the argument that a lot of the good ones they do it live in that they're like freestyling it. They're not necessarily you can't necessarily press play and have the same thing come out.
Right.
I just watched, not just like earlier this year, there was a video that came out of these two DJs who performed together, and halfway through to transition, DJs will transition from one track to another, usually through some vocal wordplay or like the it's in the right key, so they just know when to time it.
Yeah.
They stopped and just played the theme song to Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
In the very middle of it, and they used that to transition from the first song into the third song. And small moves like that, where they incorporate just the slightest amount of piano playing.
Yeah.
Was enough. It's that moment. I've rarely, like you said, I've rarely seen somebody look as cool on stage with a bunch of equipment.
Yeah, just buttons.
Relative to like somebody shredding on a guitar.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I don't think I haven't changed my ideas on it a whole lot. I still think that you have to be like a really good DJ for me to be like, yeah, you deserve,
and even then you have to be a really good guitarist too. Like, you can't just play guitar.
100%. But I think that there is arguably you can get away with having a significant lack of skill and still be a good DJ, basically. And so
another disclaimer, I want you guys to know that me and D over here, we've never touched the table.
No.
For all we know, if we did, we'd be singing a different tune. But for somebody who plays with guitars.
But I do know that it's possible to literally just pre-record a session and just hit play and just stand up there and act like you're doing stuff.
But to be fair, they didn't create that. I think singers created the whole, like, what do you call it when you like mouth
lip sync?
Yeah, lip syncing.
Yeah,
that's always been a part of music even before.
Yeah,
you could do the same with guitars and stuff like that. So I don't want to believe that anyone actually just goes up there, presses play.
I don't want to either.
Just dances.
But I know it's possible.
I think Daft Punk did it once, actually.
That's what I'm saying, is I know it's possible. Yeah. And that's what irks me about it. But I try my best not to have that perspective like, oh, anybody who does that kind of music is just completely talentless, because I know it's not the case. But I know for myself how I've kind of grown into it a little bit more is just it doesn't matter how the music comes about per se, as long as it's good.
Yeah, like what are the people moving?
Yeah, are we moving? Are we bumping? Is the music accomplishing the goal it's meant to accomplish?
Right. So that's my old man take on it. Is like it matters what the crowd says.
Yeah.
Like,
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me.
But if you could get this crowd of 60, 100, 20,000 to like have a good time, then I don't care what you do up there. You could be up there.
At the end of the day, I think music isn't necessarily about the complexity or the composition or the skill or the complexity. That those things are cool, and for music junkies and for people that want to know about that stuff, that's great.
Yeah.
But music is more about how it makes people feel.
Yeah, emotion.
And
please don't say vibe, but it is also vibe.
It is vibe, but it's about the shared experience.
Especially with live performances.
But even without live performances, for pastimes is just sharing a song with somebody. Like, hey, dude, this is a super dope song. You should listen to it.
Oh, that never happens anymore, man. I'm so sad.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's because music is meant to be shared. It shouldn't be hidden away.
No, it's definitely. I said the same thing to somebody. Somebody at work gets made fun of because like he plays his ukulele all day. Doesn't do any work. He just walks around and plays his ukulele.
Interesting.
And I'm not going to defend his laziness and anything like that, but I did say something along the lines of like, you know, when you have a hobby for music, when it comes to singing, it doesn't matter what it is. It's literally engineered to be heard.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're supposed to play it.
It's sound.
Yeah, it's supposed to be heard by somebody.
Yeah.
You know, that's the point of it.
Literally.
Because if not, you could just do it in your head. You know,
exactly.
It's just for you.
Yeah. If you wanted it to be like a different thing, you would just, you know, tell your buddy what you were thinking of.
Yeah.
You know.
So I do believe that, you know, music at large, from the beginning of time to whenever it's all over, it's definitely supposed to be a social thing.
Yeah.
It's not social like let's be friends necessarily, but it's at its conception, it's for community.
Yeah, it's a communal conception. Yeah.
So in that case, before we end the podcast, I think we should sing a song. Let's do a mashup. You sing your favorite Linkin Park song, and I'll be over here making the wicka wicka sound.
Dude, I can't do that.
Oh. That's not true. You have a very
I don't have a Linkin Park voice.
No Linkin Park voice, but you're what's the word for it when you're like making up comedy on the spot? Improv. Your improv is pretty freaking good.
My improv is awful.
Yeah, there's still not to this day. It's been a while since I worked at Safeway, but for a long time, I had a girl there who would bring up that time you had come in and I saw you and we were just talking for a while. And
I know this.
I started singing "Take a Bow" by Rihanna.
Yeah.
And you started beatboxing, and not rehearsed, not planned, and not even warranted. I don't think I asked you.
No,
Maybe
you just started
as
singing.
a bit like hit the beat or something like that.
You just started singing.
Yeah, I just started singing, and then you incorporated some like cuts and some your own original like implementation into the beat that worked with the song. I think you were like mirroring what I was saying or something like "take a bow" or something like that. And that girl would bring it up a lot. Like she'd be like, "When is your friend coming back?
Dude,
when's the next concert?"
Crazy. You didn't tell me?
Well, it was a passing comment, and like
That's
I'm
so
not
crazy.
like I'm a very comfortable like casual performer in that sense.
Yeah.
Where like I don't mind singing in front of people, but I'm so casual that it doesn't become like a thing to me. You know, it's not something I take back home. It's just in the same way I sing in the shower, I'll sing around somebody, and if somebody sings with me, it's amazing and I love the experience, but it's not something that's so like unreachable that it's something I feel like, Diego, come over, like let's do a song. You know, like well, for this person it seemed to be like, oh, that's so uncommon in my life that it's worth bringing back up over and over. That just to speak on like the communal powers of the magical properties of which is why I do
100%,
it.
100%.
The only reason I ever learned how to play any song or sing anything or practice singing at least is for moments like that.
Yeah.
Like I could care less about like being a very like the world's best guitar player or best singer or whatever. I just like singing with people.
Yeah.
Like I'm so late to it, but I love karaoke.
Oh my gosh, dude. And favorite pastime.
There's no such thing as bad karaoke. I think the only version of bad karaoke is when everyone's trying to be good.
Yeah.
I think that's
when they're taking themselves too seriously.
I blame American Idol.
Yeah, it's so stupid. But dude, I don't know, man. I think it's funny you bring that up, and I think the reason why that's so easy for me is because that's just my musical background.
Beatboxing?
Just percussion in general.
Oh, sure. Okay.
You know, I played drums when I was in high school. I picked up, cajon box drumming
church.
that I still do for church. And beatboxing was the thing I did in high school too because I thought it was hilarious and fun. Yeah. And I learned different vocal patterns and abilities through that. And so it's like a talent skill that you don't forget about.
Sure.
And so it's just so natural to be able to do whatever you want with it because
I wish more people would understand that. I think it could be natural for anyone if they weren't so freaking shy all the time.
Yeah, I think it's natural now, but you have to put the work in the beginning.
Yeah. But it never felt like work. Like it always just felt like,
oh no.
One day people were saying I'm a bad singer, and then one day they're like, you're a pretty good singer, and it just felt like I was doing the same thing the whole time. I just liked music and
it's interesting how that kind of happens where you just kind of are doing your thing because you like doing it, and then all of a sudden people are like, dude, you're like good, and you're like, what? I thought I sucked.
Well, the my saving grace is always like I always fall back on like, why are we doing it again? It's because it's dope. Like it's dope.
Just
like,
a cool guy.
Yeah.
Just
not
just
like
a real
that.
cool guy.
It's because like music is so, it should be enjoyed casually the same way we enjoy food and the same way we enjoy like jokes. Like you don't necessarily have to be a comedian to joke around me, but everyone does. You know, like why can't I know you all like to sing? I know you all like rap. I know you all like something. You know, why when it comes to like, you could joke around, you're not a comedian, but you can't sing, even though I know you find pleasure enjoying it. You know?
Yeah, you don't need to be a singer to enjoy to sing.
That's why I love bad karaoke, when people just open up and just like, I love this song, you love this song, okay.
I love this song.
Crawling in my skin.
Dude, karaoke songs are so funny.
Do you have a set list?
I wish I had like a written down one, because it'd be a lot easier for when I do go.
I've noticed that like for my karaoke friends, the ones who go consistently, they have set lists for themselves.
Yeah.
Which in turn has inspired me to, and I haven't really started it because I've only done karaoke, like sang at karaoke maybe twice.
Yeah.
In my life. Most of the time I'm in the background screaming. But now I plan to, every time I do sing at karaoke, it has to be a different song every time.
That's hard.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, like, you know a lot of songs. Maybe you can't sing all these songs.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not comfortable singing all these songs. But that to me is the point. You know, like, I don't want to keep perpetuating this feeling that to do karaoke you have to be a singer. You know, like,
right.
Like, sometimes I just want to be a hype man.
Yeah, you're right about that though. I think if you do the same song every single time, then it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, and now it feels like you're planning to have a performance, which it is. It literally is a performance, but it takes all the wind out of my sails. You know?
Yeah, I think if we did the same thing every single time, then it wouldn't be special anymore.
Unless you're that friend group, like you guys are the singing people, you know. Like,
yeah, and you find enjoyment in like, you know, perfecting it and doing a really good job and hitting the right notes and things like that. But if you're just a bunch of people that are just screaming at microphones,
if it's me on the couch with your 7-month-old nephew, and I have a drink in my hand, joking with our uncle over here, like, I don't necessarily need you to hit that high C or whatever.
But what I need you to do is to do it with your whole chest.
Yeah.
I need you to stand up there, on the table, and go all out.
Do you have any go-tos at least? Like, this song I'll do every time.
I always do. It's a song called "Heaven" by Los Lonely Boys.
I was thinking of a different song.
It's my go-to song for karaoke.
I was thinking of Bryan Adams.
Oh, I do that song. There's a lot of love songs I do, which is really weird.
Okay.
I do that song a lot. I do Superman by Joe Brooks.
Oh, never
his
mind.
name, I think.
I'm thinking about Five for Fighting.
Oh, my bad.
Is that the song you're thinking of?
No, it's not.
Good song.
What else have I done? I've done
I always do "I Miss You" by Blink-182.
Oh, that's good. I didn't think about doing that.
I love picking songs that I feel like everybody knows.
Yeah.
And my favorite way to do it is if everybody's singing.
I agree, but I can't ever do one that I'm like, oh yeah, I know that song and I think I'm capable of doing that.
Oh,
and so I've done "Gives You Hell," All American Rejects. Ooh. That's a fun one. That's
It
fun
Ends
to
Tonight do. Though. I want to learn that on piano. That to me, like, I rediscovered that song recently. That's a good album. Strangle me, dude. Gives You Hell. I feel like that's hard.
Yeah, it is.
He sings high.
It is kind of high. It's higher than you think, which is crazy.
He's high the whole time.
Yeah.
Not high. Just like he sings in that register the whole time for that song. I feel like that "Gives You Hell" part, I think, is the hard part, and he says it like 20 times.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's fun because it's one of those songs everyone can just yell. You know. Even if even if you're not hitting the note right, everyone can just yell it, you know, because everyone's got, you know, trauma and past relationship hurt they can scream about, you know.
I guess that's true.
And so it's one of those songs like everyone knows and everyone can sing along to. So that's always fun.
When was it? That was like 2009, 2010.
Yeah, I think it was crazy because it still holds up.
I don't know. When I rediscovered It Ends Tonight, I love them like a lot. Like as much as I love the Killers.
Man,
they're really big for me. And I loved all their original singles, but going back and listening to it as a 20-something-year-old, 29-year-old, it's too cringe for me. It's way too cringe.
Interesting.
Gives You Hell is way too cringe. Well, as somebody who's trying to progressively get better at romance and what's toxic, what's not toxic, I feel like a lot of their song lyrics I think they profess a toxic man.
Yeah, probably. But it's fun sometimes.
But that's why I like It Ends Tonight, because it has nothing to do with that. It's more so like, the fallout of it.
Yeah, it's just a lot more somber.
The other stuff were
Fun. And I think just that idea of being able to share music.
Oddly enough, I there's a handful of Linkin Park songs I know word for word. I have never sung any of their songs on karaoke or even in my personal
It's
time.
hard.
Yeah, I don't think all of their songs are impossible to sing, but for some reason when I sing a Chester part, it doesn't feel right. Like I can't, and I'm a very big on like, oh, when you cover a song, who cares if it sounds the same? Like nobody cares. I'm very big on that. I consciously try not to sound like the original song unless I'm like doing a bit or something. But for Chester's songs specifically, I can't bring myself to do it. Like it just doesn't feel right. But I will. Mike Shinoda's part.
Easy all day.
Easy, yeah, all day. I'll do that all day.
One thing. I don't know why. It
doesn't even matter how hard you try. I know. Dude, I know. Like,
I know.
He makes it easy, but
yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Formal Inquiry podcast. I hope you enjoyed the conversation that I had with my friend Madel, and you could excuse the poor audio quality at times. I'm still trying to figure out the whole recording studio thing. If you could do me a huge favor and follow the podcast on socials, on Instagram and TikTok at the Formal Inquiry Podcast, as well as giving us a follow, a share, and a like on whatever podcast platform you're using, that would help out a lot, and I appreciate all of you for supporting me and this project. Again, thank you so much for lending me your ears, and I'll see you guys next time.